The coffee in Marcus Bryant's hand had gone cold an hour ago. He stood at the window of the space station, watching Earth spin slowly below. The planet looked peaceful from up here. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land. It was hard to believe that everything had changed 3 years ago when the aliens arrived. Marcus was a military officer, but he never thought he would be stationed in space. The research station called Galileo Prime floated high above Earth. Its job was to study weapons. Not just any weapons. Weapons that could protect humanity from the dangers that existed beyond the stars. When the Galactic Council made contact with Earth, humans were excited. Finally, they were not alone in the universe. Other intelligent species existed. Advanced civilizations that had been exploring space for thousands of years. Earth wanted to join them to be part of something bigger, but the reality was harder than anyone expected. The Council looked at humanity like adults looking at small children, cute but not very capable. Human ships were slow. Human weapons were weak. Human technology was primitive. Earth was given a low military rating. Level 2, they called it, barely worth noticing. The other species used energy weapons, lasers and plasma beams that could cut through metal like butter. They had shields that could stop almost anything. Their ships could travel faster than light. Compared to them, Earth's military looked like children playing with toys. Marcus had seen the reports. He had attended the meetings. The alien called Thexnor, an admiral from a species called the Velcron, had actually laughed when shown videos of Earth's aircraft carriers. Big metal ships that floated on water. How amusing, the alien had said. How wonderfully primitive. That laugh had burned in Marcus's memory. It was not a kind laugh. It was the laugh of someone who thought you were beneath them, someone who would never take you seriously. So Earth had started building. Research stations in space. New weapons. Better ships. The Galileo Prime was one of many facilities working to make humanity stronger, to prove they deserved respect. Marcus heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Helen Carter walking toward him. She was the head scientist on the station, a brilliant woman who understood physics better than anyone Marcus had ever met. But right now she looked scared. Her hands were shaking slightly as she held a datapad. Her face was pale. Her eyes were wide. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. Something was wrong. Helen stopped in front of him and took a deep breath. "You need to see this," she said quietly. "What happened?" Marcus asked. "The railgun test." "We ran it this morning." Marcus nodded. He knew about the Railgun project. It was humanity's attempt to create a powerful kinetic weapon, a gun that used magnetic fields to shoot metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The aliens had told them it was a waste of time. Kinetic weapons were old technology, outdated. Energy weapons were better in every way, but humans had kept working on it anyway. That was something the aliens did not understand about humanity. When someone told them something was impossible, they tried even harder. "What about the test?" Marcus asked. Helen held up the datapad. "We measured the velocity of the projectile, the speed it reached after we fired it, and 0.98 light speed," Helen said. Marcus stared at her. For a moment his brain could not process what she had said. 0.98 meant 98% of the speed of light. Nothing was supposed to go that fast. Not in normal space. Not according to what the aliens had taught them. "That is impossible," Marcus said. "I know what the Velcron told us." Helen's voice was tight. "They said kinetic weapons can only reach 40% of light speed. They said there is a natural limit. Something about quantum resistance in space itself. Then your instruments are broken." "We ran the test 6 times, Marcus. 6 different projectiles. 6 different railguns. Every single one reached the same speed. 0.98 light speed. The instruments are working perfectly." Marcus felt dizzy. He reached out and steadied himself against the wall. If what Helen was saying was true, if humanity had just broken through what the entire galaxy believed was an unbreakable barrier, then everything had changed. "Show me," he said. They walked together to the research lab. Screens covered the walls showing graphs and numbers. Other scientists stood around talking in hushed voices. They all looked excited and terrified at the same time. Helen pulled up a video of the test. Marcus watched as the railgun fired. A small metal cylinder no bigger than a coffee can shot out of the barrel. The cameras tracking it struggled to keep up with its speed. It moved so fast it was almost invisible. Then the numbers appeared on the screen. Velocity measurements, energy calculations, impact force predictions. Marcus felt cold. At 98% of light speed, that small metal cylinder carried more destructive power than the largest nuclear bomb Earth had ever built, and they could fire it accurately. And it would hit its target in seconds, not minutes or hours. How is this possible? He asked. Why did the aliens think it could not be done? Helen pointed to another screen. This one showed complex equations. We think they were wrong about the physics. Or maybe they were not wrong, but their technology has different limits than ours. They use gravity manipulation for everything. We use electromagnetic fields. Different approach, different results. Or one of the other scientists spoke up. Nobody ever tried to push past 40% because they were all told it was impossible. So they just accepted it. Humans do not accept impossible very well, Helen said with a slight smile. Marcus turned back to the window. Earth was still spinning below. Peaceful and beautiful. But for how long? If humanity had this technology, what would the other species do? The Velcrin who had laughed at them. The warrior species called the Krill who saw everything as a potential threat. The dozens of other civilizations out there, all more powerful than Earth. We need to keep this secret, Marcus said. Nobody outside this station can know. Not yet, agreed, Helen said. But Marcus, do you understand what this means? If we can weaponize this, if we can put these railguns on ships, we will have something no other species has. A weapon that can strike anywhere in a star system within minutes. A weapon that their shields cannot stop. A weapon that makes us dangerous. Marcus looked at his reflection in the window. Behind him, scientists worked on calculations. Around him, the station hummed with energy. Below him, 8 billion humans lived their lives, unaware that everything had just changed. Dangerous, he repeated quietly. That is exactly what worries me. The galaxy thinks we are harmless. What happens when they learn we are not? Nobody answered. They all knew the question had no good answer. Humanity had just gained incredible power, but power always came with a price. And Marcus had a feeling they were going to learn exactly how high that price was. 6 months had passed since the discovery. 6 months of secret tests and careful planning. 6 months of building weapons that the galaxy did not know existed. Now it was time to show them. Admiral Catherine Pierce stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour. The ship was humanity's first real warship designed for space combat. It was not the biggest ship in orbit. In fact, it looked small compared to the alien vessels that were arriving. Through the main viewing screen, Catherine watched as massive alien ships appeared. They came from all over the galaxy. The Velcrin sent their sleek silver cruisers. The Zephrani brought their elegant curved vessels. The Krill arrived in dark angular warships that looked like weapons themselves. Each alien ship was enormous. Each one had weapons that could destroy cities. Each one represented a civilization thousands of years more advanced than humanity. And they had all come because Earth had asked them to. That was unusual. Junior species did not summon the Galactic Council. They waited to be invited. They stayed quiet and respectful. They did not demand attention, but humans had never been good at following rules. Status report, Catherine said calmly. Her tactical officer, Ryan Foster, checked his displays. All council ships have arrived. They are in the observation zone we designated. The Velcron are complaining about the inconvenience. The Zephrani are scanning our ship. The Krill are watching and waiting. Let them scan all they want, Catherine said. They will not find what matters. Do we have target coordinates? Yes, ma'am. Target is an asteroid in the outer belt. No value, no mining claims. The council approved it for our demonstration. Catherine smiled slightly. The council thought this was going to be a simple show. A young species trying to prove they were not completely helpless. They expected to see some improved missiles maybe, better explosives, nothing that would change anything. They had no idea what was coming. Open a channel to all council ships, Catherine ordered. The screen changed. Now it showed multiple windows, each containing an alien commander. Admiral Thexnor of the Velcron looked bored. He had that same dismissive expression he always wore when dealing with humans. The Zephrani matriarch seemed amused, like she was watching children put on a cute play. The Krill war leader was harder to read, but his body language showed he was not impressed. Catherine took a breath and began speaking. Honored members of the Galactic Council, thank you for attending our demonstration. We understand that humanity's military capabilities have been discussed quite a bit. Discussed is too kind a word. Admiral Thexnor interrupted. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is weak. This council has been very generous to accept your species despite these obvious limitations. Catherine's smile grew wider. I appreciate your honesty, Admiral. However, I believe your assessment is based on incomplete information. Impossible, Thexnor said firmly. We have scanned all of your military facilities. We know exactly what you are capable of. You know what we have shown you, Catherine corrected him. Commander Foster, bring the main weapon online. Throughout the endeavor, systems came to life. The ship's experimental fusion reactor began channeling enormous amounts of power. The railgun, built into the entire length of the ship, started charging. Every bit of human innovation from the past 6 months had gone into this weapon. Materials science, electromagnetic field control, power generation, everything. It had cost more money than anything humanity had ever built. And in the next few seconds, it was going to prove that the entire galaxy was wrong about the laws of physics. Weapon charged, Ryan reported. Target locked. Ready to fire on your command. You are going to shoot an asteroid? The Zephrani matriarch actually laughed. How wonderfully primitive. Shall we make bets on how many shots it takes to break it apart? On, Catherine said simply. Fire. The Endeavor shook. Every light on the bridge flickered as massive amounts of energy poured into the railgun. A small tungsten projectile, no bigger than a large coffee can, accelerated down the length of the ship. In less than a second, it reached 98% of the speed of light. Alarms started blaring on every alien ship. Their sensors had detected something impossible, something that should not exist. A physical object moving faster than anything they had ever seen in normal space. The bored expression vanished from Admiral Thexnor's face. It was replaced by shock, then fear. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Impossible, he finally shouted. Nothing can move that fast. Your sensors are broken. Check your own sensors, Admiral, Catherine said calmly. 14 seconds after firing, the projectile reached the target asteroid. At 98% of light speed, the small tungsten slug carried more energy than every nuclear weapon on Earth combined. The asteroid did not crack. It did not break into pieces. It simply stopped existing. The impact created so much heat and energy that sensors registered what looked like a small star appearing for a brief moment. When the light faded, there was nothing left except a cloud of superheated gas spreading outward. Complete silence filled the communication channel. Every alien commander stared at their screens in disbelief. Some looked terrified. Others looked angry. All of them looked shocked. As I said, Catherine continued, speaking into the stunned quiet, your assessment was based on incomplete information. Humanity has developed a weapon system capable of accelerating projectiles to near light speed. We can hit any target in a star system within minutes, and there is no known shield technology that can stop a projectile moving this fast. This is a violation of galactic law. Thexnor found his voice again. Kinetic weapons are limited to 40% light speed. This is illegal. By council law, yes, Catherine agreed. But humanity never signed that treaty. We are still provisional members. And honestly, Admiral, nobody told us it was supposed to be impossible. We just built the best weapon we could. The Krill war leader leaned forward. His eyes were fixed on Catherine. When he spoke, his voice was quiet and serious. How many more of these weapons do you have? Catherine met his gaze steadily. Enough. She did not tell them the exact number. She did not explain that 15 ships now carried these weapons, with more being built every week. She did not mention the orbital defense platforms being constructed around Earth. Let them wonder. Let them worry. This changes everything, the Zephrani matriarch said quietly. She was no longer amused. She looked thoughtful and concerned. You understand what you have done? Yes, Catherine said. We have proven that humanity deserves to be taken seriously. We have shown that we can defend ourselves. And we have demonstrated that the galaxy still has things to learn. The council will need to discuss this, the matriarch said. Please remain in position while we deliberate. The communication channel closed. Catherine looked around her bridge. Her crew was celebrating quietly. They had just witnessed history. Humanity had gone from being dismissed as primitive to being recognized as dangerous, all in the span of 15 seconds. Power down the weapon, Catherine ordered. But keep all systems ready. This is just the beginning. Ryan looked at her. Do you think they will try to stop us? Force us to give up the technology? Catherine watched the alien ships on her screen. Some were moving into new positions. Others seemed frozen, unable to decide what to do. They can try. But I think they know that would mean war. And now they understand that war with humanity would cost them more than they can afford. She was right. The galaxy had just learned that humanity was no longer helpless. The question now was what would happen next. Would the Council accept this new reality? Or would they try to eliminate the threat before it grew stronger? Catherine did not know the answer. But she knew one thing for certain. Humanity had just announced to the entire galaxy that they were here to stay. And anyone who tried to push them around would learn a very painful lesson. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. For the first time in anyone's memory, the human delegation was not invited. They waited in a holding area while the most powerful beings in the galaxy decided humanity's fate. Ambassador Liu Chen sat in an oversized chair, his feet barely touching the floor. The room was designed to make junior species feel small. The ceiling was incredibly high. The walls showed images of the Council's greatest achievements over 12,000 years. Everything about the space said the same thing. You are not important. You are not equal. Remember your place. But after today, that message felt hollow. Humanity had just proven they were important. They had shown they were not helpless. The question was how the Council would respond. Liu's communication device buzzed constantly. Messages from Earth, government officials celebrating, scientists analyzing the test results, military commanders planning next steps. Everyone wanted to know what would happen now. He had no answers to give them. Not yet, Ambassador Liu. The voice made him look up. Standing in the doorway was someone he had not expected to see. Matriarch Zephyra of the Zephreni. She was one of the founding members of the Council. One of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And she was alone. No guards, no advisors. Just her. Liu stood quickly and gave the traditional Zephrani greeting. Matriarch. This is unexpected. I imagine everything today has been unexpected, Zephyra said. She moved into the room with surprising grace for someone 3 times human size. I wanted to speak with you before the Council makes its decision. Off the record? Liu asked carefully. Completely. What I am about to tell you cannot leave this room. She settled into one of the large chairs. Her many eyes studied him carefully. The Council is terrified. Liu had suspected this, but hearing it confirmed was still shocking. Because we built a weapon? Because you did the impossible, Zephyra corrected. Do you understand what that means? For 12,000 years, the Council has maintained peace through predictability. We know what every species can do. We know the limits of every technology. We can calculate military strength precisely. She leaned forward. And then humanity appears. In less than 3 years, you have broken fundamental rules about physics. You have created a weapon that makes our shields useless. Worse, you did it by simply refusing to believe what we told you was impossible. The math was always there, Liu said quietly. We just approached the problem differently. Yes, and that is what terrifies us. What else have we declared impossible that just needs a different approach? What other assumptions will humanity destroy? Liu was silent for a moment. You are not afraid of the railgun specifically. You are afraid of what it represents exactly, Zephyra said. The Council has 3 choices. First, we could try to force humanity to abandon this technology. Economic sanctions. Military pressure, threats. This would probably fail and might start a war nobody wants. It would definitely start a war, Liu said firmly. I thought so. Second, we could accept this development and try to acquire the technology ourselves. Return to balanced deterrence. The Velcron support this option. They are already demanding access to your research. That will not happen. Good, Zephyra said with approval. Because the third option is why I am here. We acknowledge humanity's advancement and restructure the Council to reflect the new reality. You become a senior member with real voting rights, trade advantages, and military protection. In exchange for what? Liu asked. Restraint. We are not asking you to share the technology or stop building weapons, but we need guarantees that you will not use them aggressively, that humanity will respect existing borders and Council law. Liu studied her carefully. Why are you telling me this privately? Should this not come through official channels? Because I am 3,000 years old, Ambassador. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. I have seen species achieve greatness and destroy themselves, and I have learned to recognize the moments when history changes direction. She stood, preparing to leave. This is one of those moments. The Velcron want to suppress you. The Krill want to test you in combat. Others want to study you like laboratory animals. But some of us recognize what is really happening. What is that? Liu asked. The galaxy is changing. Humanity has proven that innovation is not dead, that old limits can be exceeded. You are going to push boundaries we did not even know existed. The question is whether that happens within the Council framework or outside it. For what it is worth, Liu said, we never wanted to threaten anyone. We just wanted to survive, I know. But your drive to survive has made you dangerous. Dangerous species either integrate or get eliminated. I am trying to ensure it is the former. Safara moved toward the door, then paused. The formal proposal will come tomorrow. I suggest you accept it. Because the alternatives are far worse. What alternatives? War. The Krill are already mobilizing their fleets. They see you as an existential threat. They want to eliminate humanity before you can spread this technology or develop something even more dangerous. If the Council does not offer you protection, the Krill will attack. Soon. Liu felt cold. How soon? Weeks, maybe days. They are assembling the largest battle fleet in recorded history. After she left, Liu sat alone in the oversized room. The weight of his species' entire future pressed down on him. Earth had wanted respect. They had wanted to be taken seriously. Well, now they had it. But respect gained through fear was a dangerous thing. He pulled out his communication device and started composing a message to Earth. The government needed to know what was coming. They needed to prepare for either integration into the Council as a senior member, or war with the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Either way, everything had changed. Humanity had forced the galaxy to recognize them. They had proven they could defend themselves. But now came the hard part, actually surviving the consequences of that proof. Liu thought about Admiral Catherine Pierce and the crew of the Endeavour. They had done their job perfectly. The demonstration had worked exactly as planned. But demonstrations were easy compared to what came next. If the Krill attacked, humanity would have to prove that their weapons worked not just against asteroids, but against actual warships. Against enemies who would shoot back, against odds that made survival seem impossible. But then again, Liu thought with a slight smile, humans specialized in doing the impossible. The galaxy was about to learn that lesson one way or another. He sent the message to Earth and settled back to wait. The Council would make their decision soon. Until then, all humanity could do was prepare for whatever came next, and hope that their railguns would be enough to keep them alive. Outside the window, alien ships moved through space. Beautiful and deadly, each one carrying the power to destroy worlds. Liu watched them and wondered which ones would be friends and which would be enemies. In the end, he suspected it would not matter. Humanity had crossed a line. They had announced themselves as players in galactic affairs. There was no going back now, only forward into whatever future they had created for themselves. And if that future included war, then humanity would fight. They would make the galaxy remember why threatening Earth was a mistake. They would prove that being young and new did not mean being weak. The railgun demonstration was just the beginning. The real test was about to start. The Krill Empire did not waste time. Within 1 week of humanity's demonstration, their war fleets began to move. They had survived for 10,000 years by eliminating threats before those threats could grow. They saw humanity as the biggest threat they had ever faced. General Nathan Cross stood in the war room on Luna, Earth's moon. Holographic displays showed red markers spreading across Krill space. Battle groups assembling, supply lines forming, warrior clans being called up from homeworlds across their empire. They are preparing for full war, Colonel Sophie Martinez reported. Her voice was tense. We are seeing troop movements on a scale the Krill have not used in centuries. Against us? Cross asked, though he already knew the answer. Yes, sir. Intelligence suggests they plan to eliminate humanity before we can share the railgun technology with other species. Before we can build more weapons, they want to end this now. Cross studied the displays. The Krill were good at war, very good. Their formations showed discipline and expertise earned through thousands of years of combat. They had more ships than humanity had ever built. Better shields, more powerful conventional weapons. More experienced crews, but they did not have railguns. Status of our defense fleet? Cross asked. 15 ships with working railgun systems. Another 30 in construction. Admiral Pierce has positioned them throughout the solar system in a defensive pattern. 15 ships, Cross repeated quietly. Against the entire Krill Empire. The numbers are not good, Sophie admitted, but Admiral Pierce has a plan. She calls it Project Overwatch. The display changed to show the outer solar system. Cross saw Catherine's strategy immediately and felt respect for her tactical thinking. She had not positioned the railgun ships in Earth orbit where enemies would expect them. Instead, they were scattered throughout the asteroid belt and near the outer planets. Each ship had clear lines of fire covering different approach routes to Earth. She created a gauntlet, Cross realized. Any fleet trying to reach Earth has to pass through multiple firing positions. Exactly, Sophie said. At near light speed, we can hit targets anywhere in the system within minutes. Krill shields will not stop the projectiles. Their point defense cannot track something moving that fast. Every hit is a guaranteed kill. The Krill know this. They are not stupid, they do know it. That is why they have not attacked yet. They are calculating acceptable losses. Our analysts believe they will accept up to 40% casualties to eliminate the railgun threat permanently. Cross felt cold. 40% losses would destroy any human military. But the Krill had different mathematics. They had ships to spare. They had warriors to spare. They thought in terms of empires, not individual battles. When? Cross asked. Intelligence suggests 2 weeks. They are assembling 3,000 warships, the largest battle fleet the galaxy has seen in recorded history. Can we hold them? Sophie was silent for a long moment. Honestly, sir, no, we can make them pay. We can destroy hundreds of their ships. But 3,000 against 15. The math does not work in our favor. Then we need to change the math, Cross said firmly. Get me Admiral Pierce on a secure channel and start working on backup plans. If we are going to lose, let us make sure the galaxy remembers why threatening humanity was a mistake. Over the next 3 days, more intelligence came in. The Krill were not hiding their preparations. They wanted humanity to see the fleet gathering. They wanted Earth to be afraid. They wanted surrender before the first shot was fired, but humans did not surrender easily. Then an encrypted message arrived from Matriarch Zifara. It was short and direct. The Council was mobilizing its own fleet, not to support the Krill invasion but to oppose it. The Velkron had declared neutrality, seeing opportunity in the chaos. Several minor species inspired by humanity's defiance were pledging their support. The galaxy was splitting along new lines, and humanity sat at the center of it all. Cross read the message twice. With Council support, the odds changed, not to good but to survivable. Maybe. Notify all commands, he ordered. Prepare for hostile contact, maximum readiness. And someone send a message to the Krill war leader. What message, sir? Cross smiled grimly. Tell him if he wants to test human resolve, we are ready. But remind him that we have been practicing warfare for our entire history. Every human civilization has fought wars. Every generation has known conflict. We have gotten very, very good at it. The message was sent. The Krill response came 12 hours later. It was not words. It was action. Their fleet started moving toward human space. 3,000 warships, each one capable of destroying cities. Together, they carried enough firepower to sterilize Earth's surface 100 times over. They moved with precision and purpose. This was not a raid or a test. This was an invasion meant to end humanity's existence. On Earth, people watched the news with growing fear. Governments issued evacuation orders for major cities. Underground shelters filled with families. Some places saw panic. Others saw calm determination. But everyone understood what was coming. In orbit, Admiral Catherine Pierce reviewed her defensive positions one more time. 15 ships, 15 chances to prove that humanity deserved to survive. 15 opportunities to show the galaxy what humans were capable of when pushed to the edge. She opened a channel to all human military forces. This is Admiral Pierce to all commands. The Krill fleet will arrive in approximately 48 hours. Our mission is simple. Protect Earth, protect humanity. Show them that we cannot be intimidated or eliminated. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. We are outnumbered. We are outgunned by conventional measures. But we have something they do not. We have weapons that can strike from across the solar system. We have determination born from being underestimated our entire existence. And we have nothing to lose. The Krill think this will be easy. They think we will break. They think 15 ships cannot possibly stop 3,000. Let us prove them wrong. Let us show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's home. All ships prepare for combat. Charge all weapon systems. Calculate firing solutions for multiple targets. And remember, we only need 1 shot per enemy ship. Make every shot count. Across the solar system, human ships powered up their railguns. Engineers ran final checks. Tactical officers calculated trajectories. Crew said quiet prayers or shared final messages with loved ones on Earth. Everyone knew the odds. Everyone understood that survival was not guaranteed. But everyone also understood that this was the moment humanity would be defined, not by their technology or their numbers, but by their willingness to stand and fight when everything was on the line. The Krill were coming. The largest war fleet in galactic history was bearing down on Earth with the intention of erasing humanity from existence. But humanity was ready, and they were about to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The Battle of Sol was about to begin. They arrived at dawn. Not that dawn meant anything in space, but humans clung to old ways of thinking. As Earth rotated toward the sun, 3,000 Krill warships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Admiral Catherine Pierce watched her displays light up with enemy contacts. Each red marker was a ship that could destroy continents. Together, they represented the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history, and they were here to end humanity. All ships report ready status, Commander Ryan Foster said from his station. Railgun systems charged and locked. Firing solutions calculated for the first wave of targets. What about the Council reinforcements? Catherine asked. The Zafrani task force is holding position near Jupiter. 800 ships. They are waiting to see what happens. Catherine felt anger flash through her. 800 ships sitting idle while humanity faced extinction, but she understood. The Council was hedging their bets. If humanity survived, they would help. If not, they would negotiate with the Krill. Politics as usual. Incoming transmission from the Krill flagship, the communications officer announced. Put it on screen. War leader Kreshitar appeared. His battle armor was polished and gleaming. His expression was hard as stone. Behind him, Catherine could see the bridge of his command ship. Warriors moving with practiced efficiency. Everything ready for battle. Admiral Pierce, he began. The Krill Empire offers you one chance at survival. Surrender your railgun technology. Decommission your fleet. Accept permanent observer status with no military rights. Do this and your species will be allowed to continue existing. Catherine did not hesitate. No. Kreshitar's eyes narrowed. You have 15 ships against 3,000. This is not a battle. It is simple mathematics. Then let me teach you some new mathematics, Catherine replied calmly. Every ship you send into this system will face railgun fire. We can target anywhere in the solar system within minutes. Your shields are useless against our weapons. Your armor is useless, and we only need one shot per ship. You cannot possibly destroy 3,000 ships before we reach your homeworld. No, Catherine agreed. But we can destroy enough to make this victory cost you everything. The Velcron are already moving fleets near your border worlds. How many ships can you afford to lose here before they strike at your empire? For the first time, Catherine saw uncertainty cross the war leader's face. She pressed her advantage. Here is what will happen, war leader. You will order your fleet to retreat. Then you will explain to your emperor that humanity is no longer prey. We are predators. And if you try to hunt us, we will make you extinct in the process. Humanity speaks boldly for a species ours from destruction. Commander Foster, Catherine said calmly, not breaking eye contact. Target the Krill flagship with all railgun systems. Lock firing solution locked. All 15 ships have targeting on the flagship. 15 simultaneous impacts at near light speed, Catherine said softly. Your flagship will cease to exist, war leader, and you will die knowing you led the Krill Empire into a war it cannot win. The bridge of the Krill flagship erupted in activity. Warriors shouted warnings. Officers called out threat assessments. Kreshitar's expression shifted from certainty to calculation. He was a soldier. He understood when the tactical situation had changed. A demonstration, he said finally. Destroy one of my vanguard ships. Prove your capability. Gladly. Commander Foster, select a target from their forward line. Single-shot target selected, firing. The USS Endeavour shuddered slightly. 300,000 kilometers away, a Krill heavy cruiser detected the incoming projectile a fraction of a second before impact. Not enough time to evade. Not enough time to activate emergency systems. Not enough time to do anything. The ship exploded in a flash of light that briefly outshone Jupiter. 2,000 Krill warriors died instantly. The explosion was so violent that nearby ships rocked from the shockwave. Complete silence filled the communication channel. Every Krill commander stared at their screens in disbelief. That was from maximum range, Catherine said into the quiet. We can do that to every ship in your fleet. You cannot stop us. Now, War Leader, I will ask one more time. Do you really want to find out how many of your warriors must die before you accept that humanity has earned its place? Kreshtar stared at the expanding debris field where his ship had been. When he spoke again, his voice carried a note Catherine had not heard before. Respect. The Krill Empire acknowledges strength when we see it. Very well, Admiral Pierce. We withdraw. But understand this. We will be watching. If humanity proves to be a threat to galactic stability, we will return. And next time we will come prepared, we will be ready, Catherine promised. But War Leader, consider that humanity might be the best ally you never wanted. We did not develop these weapons to conquer. We developed them to survive. Perhaps that is something the Krill Empire could learn from. The transmission ended. Across the solar system, human ships tracked the Krill fleet as it began its withdrawal. Slowly, methodically, 3,000 warships turned and departed. Their invasion had failed without a single true battle. Catherine let herself breathe. Around the bridge, her crew erupted in celebration, cheers and shouts of joy. Humanity had faced the galaxy's greatest military power and won through deterrence alone. Admiral, Foster reported, the Zafrani fleet is moving. They are entering the solar system. Catherine felt tension return. Had they simply traded one threat for another? Incoming transmission from Matriarch Zafara. The matriarch's image appeared. Her expression showed approval and something like pride. Well done, Admiral Pierce. The Galactic Council formally recognizes humanity as a senior member species, all rights and responsibilities included. We look forward to working with you as equals. Thank you, Matriarch. Though I notice your fleet did not exactly rush to help us. Zafara laughed. The sound was rich and genuine. You did not need our help, Admiral. You needed to prove to the galaxy that humanity could defend itself. Congratulations. You have accomplished in 3 years what most species take thousands of years to achieve. Catherine looked out at the stars. At the vast galaxy that had just learned to fear and respect humanity equally, Earth was safe, the solar system was secure, and humanity had claimed its place among the great powers of the cosmos, all because humans had refused to accept that something was impossible. Commander Foster, she said quietly, stand down from battle stations and send a message to Earth. Tell them we won. Tell them we are safe. Tell them the galaxy just learned why threatening a species that spent its entire history fighting for survival is a very bad idea. Yes, ma'am. What exactly should the message say? Catherine smiled. Mission accomplished. Humanity is no longer the underdog. Welcome to the new galactic order. As the message transmitted across the solar system, Catherine reflected on their journey. From a species barely capable of leaving their own planet, to one that had fundamentally changed galactic power structures, all because someone had asked a simple question. What if the impossible was not actually impossible? The railgun hummed quietly in the Endeavor's core, ready for whatever came next. Because humanity had learned one thing for certain. There would always be another challenge. Another barrier to break. Another species that needed to learn what humans could do when pushed. And every throne in the galaxy would tremble when they found out. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, Marcus Bryant found himself back at the observation window on Galileo Prime. Earth still spun peacefully below, but everything else had changed. The space around Earth was busier now. Construction ships worked day and night building new defense platforms. Cargo vessels arrived constantly bringing materials from asteroid mining operations. Diplomatic shuttles came and went as alien ambassadors visited humanity's homeworld. Earth was no longer a backwater planet at the edge of galactic civilization. It was a power center, a place that mattered. Helen Carter walked up beside him holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed him one. Still drinking cold coffee while staring at Earth? She asked with a smile. It helps me think, Marcus replied. Hard to believe it has only been 3 months. Helen nodded. We have come far very fast. Sometimes I wonder if we moved too fast. Marcus knew what she meant. Humanity had gained respect and power, but that power came with new responsibilities and new dangers. The Council expected them to participate in galactic security now. To help patrol trade routes, to mediate disputes between minor species, to act like the senior members they claimed to be. Have we heard anything new from the Krill? Marcus asked. Actually, yes. Helen pulled up a datapad. Ambassador Liu sent a report. The Krill have opened formal diplomatic relations with Earth. They want to establish trade agreements and military cooperation protocols. Marcus felt surprised. The same species that tried to invade 3 months ago? Apparently, war leader Kreshtar was impressed by our willingness to fight. In Krill culture, standing your ground against overwhelming odds earns deep respect. They see us as worthy allies now instead of threats to eliminate. Marcus shook his head in amazement. We went from being ignored to being feared to being respected, all in less than a year. That is humanity for you, Helen said. We do not accept limits. We push boundaries. We force change even when others want everything to stay the same. She gestured at the data pad. There is more. The Velkrin are requesting access to our railgun research. They are offering significant technology trades in exchange. Advanced shield generators, faster than light drive improvements. Medical technology centuries ahead of ours. What did we tell them? The council is still debating. Some think we should share the technology with approved allies. Others think keeping it exclusive maintains our strategic advantage. Marcus thought about that. The railgun had given humanity power, but power based on a single advantage was fragile. Eventually, someone would figure out how to duplicate it or defend against it. Real security came from being valuable, not just dangerous. I think we should share it, he said. Not freely. Not with everyone. But with species we trust. Build alliances based on mutual benefit rather than mutual fear. Helen smiled. Admiral Pierce said almost the exact same thing yesterday. You two think alike. How is Catherine doing? Marcus asked. Busy. She has been promoted to fleet commander. She oversees all human military forces now. Currently working with the Zafrani on joint training exercises. Joint training exercises with aliens, Marcus said quietly. 6 months ago, that would have been science fiction. 6 months ago, we thought we were alone in terms of military capability. Helen corrected. Now we know we are part of something much bigger, and we have responsibilities that come with that. Marcus looked down at Earth. Somewhere on that blue and white sphere, 8 billion people were living their lives. Most of them did not think about galactic politics or military alliances. They worried about jobs and families and normal everyday problems. But everything they did was now connected to species light years away. Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing? Marcus asked. Maybe we should have stayed quiet. Kept the railgun secret? Avoided all this attention. Helen was quiet for a moment. No. If we had stayed quiet, we would still be seen as weak. The Krill or someone else would have eventually tested us, pushed us around, maybe even invaded. At least this way, we control our own destiny. She pointed at the construction ships working in orbit. Look at that. 3 months ago, Earth had 15 warships total. Now we are building a fleet that will rival any in the galaxy. We have trade agreements with 40 different species. Our scientists are collaborating on research projects with civilizations thousands of years older than us. Our culture is spreading to other worlds. Is that good or bad? Marcus wondered aloud. It is reality, Helen said simply. We cannot go back to being ignored. We cannot pretend we are insignificant. We proved we matter. Now we have to live with what that means. Marcus's communication device buzzed. He checked it and saw a message from General Cross, a new assignment. They wanted him to join a diplomatic mission to the Krill homeworld. Help establish military cooperation between humanity and the warrior species that had tried to destroy them 3 months ago. Looks like I'm going to meet the Krill in person, Marcus said, showing Helen the message. That should be interesting. Try not to start another war. I will do my best. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching Earth rotate below. The planet looked the same as always, but the universe around it had transformed completely. You know what the strangest part is? Helen said after a while. The railgun is not even our best technology anymore. The research teams have been working on other projects. More impossible things that the galaxy says cannot be done. Like what? That is classified. But let me just say that the railgun was only the beginning. Humanity has a talent for finding creative solutions to problems. We approach things differently than species who have been following the same patterns for thousands of years. Marcus smiled. So what you are saying is the galaxy should be worried. Not worried. Prepared. Prepared for humanity to keep surprising them. Keep breaking their rules. Keep doing the impossible. Marcus thought about that. It was a good way to think about humanity's future. Not as conquerors or threats, but as innovators. As the species that refused to accept limitations. That pushed boundaries and found new possibilities. Maybe that is our real contribution to the galaxy, Marcus said. Not weapons or military power, but the willingness to question everything, to try new approaches, to prove that progress is still possible. Helen nodded. That is exactly what Matriarch Zephyra said last week. She thinks humanity will push the entire galactic civilization forward, force them to innovate again instead of stagnating. High praise from someone 3,000 years old. She has seen a lot of civilizations rise and fall. I think she recognizes something special in humanity, something worth nurturing. Marcus finished his coffee and set the empty cup aside. Well, I should start preparing for this diplomatic mission, meeting the Krill on their homeworld. That is going to be quite an experience. Be careful. The Krill respect strength, but they also test everyone constantly. Show weakness and they will exploit it. I will remember that. As Marcus turned to leave, he took one last look at Earth. That beautiful blue planet that had seemed so peaceful and isolated just a year ago. Now it was the center of a growing sphere of influence. A place where impossible things happened regularly. A homeworld for a species that refused to know its place. The galaxy had thought humanity would be easy to categorize, easy to predict, easy to control. They had been wrong about all of it. And Marcus suspected they would keep being wrong as humanity continued to surprise them. After all, when humanity fired that first railgun, every galactic throne had trembled in fear. And they were still trembling. Not because humanity was cruel or aggressive, but because they represented change. Real change. The kind that could not be stopped or controlled. And that, Marcus thought with a smile, was exactly how it should be. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same.